So I was facilitating a first responder group session today, and the discussion centered around how we all, or most of us, kind of ruminate on being perfect. And then when we are not perfect, and it could be in our relationships, and it could be in our profession, oftentimes both, if we don't achieve that perfection, then we get into self criticizing ourselves. And a lot of that is self-deprecation. I'm not worthy. I suck. I'll never get it right. I'm not smart. The list goes on. And so it was a really good discussion. And, I want to ask you if you're like that as a first responder. I used to be like that. Not so much anymore that I got my help through a lot of therapy, continue to do that. But it's a hard thing to break when you are so conditioned, at least, yeah, I'm sure some of you were. I was conditioned in the military to be perfect and make no mistakes. And then, of course, in law enforcement, you got to be perfect. You can't make that many mistakes because lives depend on it. Um, but we're not perfect. We are human beings and we're going to fuck up and we're going to make mistakes. And stop criticizing yourself for making mistakes. Often we are much harder on ourselves. That little voice in our head often tells us things that we would never repeat to another person. We would never say that to another person, and we self-criticize ourselves all the time. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. So here's the test. I want you to do this. I want you to think for a moment. If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I made a mistake," how would you react? Say you were counseling them on how to kind of get away from perfectionism and quit with the self criticism. I mean, what would you tell them? My guess is all of you, or at least most of you, would say, "Hey, don't worry about it. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. The most important thing is that you learn from them so we don't make them again." But why is it so difficult for us to implement that in our own lives? It just baffles me. And again, I'm guilty of it. Not so much anymore. First responders are so busy solving everybody else's problems that we often, very often, neglect our own. So I want you to do this. I want you to stop ruminating on being perfect. Maybe you learned that from your parents. Maybe you learned it from a caregiver growing up that you can't make mistakes. Just stop it right now. You are going to make mistakes. That is part of life. Some of them are really going to suck, and some of them not so much, but they still suck. But the key, like I said, and you all know this, is to learn from them. But quit beating yourself up. It's not doing anything. What you can do is say, "Hey, I learned from it. I'm better for it. It was a good lesson." Again, I'm not trying to minimize what you're going through, but I'll move on and I'll get rid of that little evil voice in my head that tells me how much of a loser I am. One of the best things you can do is hang around with people who are lifting you up, people who are going to accept you for who you are. All of our flaws, and we all have them, all of our imperfections. And yes, when we make mistakes. If you're hanging around people who are constantly chastising you and giving you shit because you make mistakes, you might want to start thinking long and hard about changing an environment. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. "Well, Pat, how the hell do I do that? I got to pay the bills. I'm stuck in this shitty department." You always have options. Sometimes you have to step down to step back up. But here's the thing. I want you to remember a lot of people, especially cops, well, all first responders, they fall into that grass is greener syndrome where somehow, some way, The next agency I go to is going to be a lot different, and there's going to be less BS than there is here. Let me tell you something. BS is everywhere. It's how you react to it. That's it. It's almost like when if you think a geographical change is going to solve your problems, it doesn't work like that. You have to work on yourself. And yes, that's my kitty in the background. So, and it's never ending, man. It's always a process, self-improvement. And I know that well. And I'm constantly working on myself, and you can too. If you're struggling, please reach out. FHE Health and Shatterproof are here for you. And I'm sorry I've been on kind of a hiatus lately. I've been busy. I'm in my practicum and internship, but I promise you the show is not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, I got some guests lined up in the next week or two, so you're going to love. So like and subscribe. My YouTube channel, again, it's going to be in the show notes. All my videos go to YouTube. I have somebody that, Luke, if you're out there listening, he does all my great work, and I appreciate him. Such a great guy. And if you think you or somebody else you know it might be a good fit for the CJ Evolution podcast, please reach out to me, and reach out to me anyway. I'd love to hear from you. Please have a good week. Be safe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.